especially true in aerospace engineering, he was pointing out to me. Having a hard time at the state, he had to point out that Sikorsky Design, they left Connecticut and they moved to Bozeman, Montana. And all of a sudden there you had the governor of Montana saying, because of the great engineering department that we have here in Bozeman, Sikorsky is moving here, and this is going to be the beginning of our aerospace industry. You had the senator from Montana saying, and good paying jobs, your kids are going to be able to afford to stay in Bozeman, they won't have to leave. And it should be our senators and our governors that are making that comment, but instead they were noticeably silent, and our government's been silent for too long. But look, not Dean Kremens. We're taking advantage of that. Now engineering is the fastest growing major on campus. It's making a remarkable difference. And look, I can't pick on Connecticut. It's true of the United States as a whole. I mean, you look at us compared to India. I mean, India graduates something like on the order of 400,000, I think it is, engineers every year. We graduate maybe 40,000. But we graduate about 500,000 lawyers. And you go to a place like Bangalore, India, where I had the good fortune to be a while ago, and you think of Bangalore, you say, oh my God, it's these sweatshops or call service centers where everybody pretends to know what Barry Bonds is up to. No, I mean, you go to, Infosys, or you go to Wipro, these are campuses, these are corporate campuses, every bit as gorgeous as what you see here, loaded with folks in computer sciences and PhDs in engineering. And they're not doing all the stuff that they can do less expensively than what our guys are doing here. They're designing the next generation of the Boeing Dreamliner. You know, we can't afford to keep losing those jobs, and I think with folks like Dean Kremens, we're going to be keeping more and more of those jobs here in this country and here in this state. So thank you for everything that you're doing. One thing he does, he told me, is he goes to some of the high schools. And he starts telling the kids, look, science, engineering, mathematics, if you want a job, these are the type of skills we need you to consider. I want you to focus on, and then come to CCSU and do engineering. That's someplace else that CCSU is helping. You may remember when it comes to education and educating a 21st century workforce for this state. You may remember that CCSU is the oldest public university in the state of Connecticut. It used to be called the Connecticut College for Teaching, if I got that right. And we have a generation of teachers that are beginning to retire right now, and now more than ever, we're going to need the quality of the CCSU teachers coming in to fill in, help out in our schools. I mean, I had the good fortune to do some teaching down at Harding High School in Bridgeport. I taught a class called Entrepreneurship. You know, and there it's remarkable. They can't get enough math and science teachers. Where do we get them from? We import them from India. We have Indian math and science teachers in Harding High School down in Bridgeport teaching those programs. So we really need that program. But look, be it engineering, be it education, say our calling card may be business here. And there's Dean Shoja, did I get that right? Who's remarkable. Here from Iran. And Iran's loss is really our gain. Dean, are you here? Yes. Wait, it's remarkable what he's doing. We're not sitting here just, idly educating people and hoping that the jobs are here. He's making a real effort. Look, right next door we've got Hartford. Hartford is or was the insurance capital of America. But to bring it back and to make sure our insurance industry is growing and prospering, you can they'll hire any actuary we graduate. We need more accountants. We need more analysts. And that's what the dean is working on. And he works on it not in the void. I mean, I'm so proud. I met the folks from Travelers who are here with us tonight, who have been great friends of Central Connecticut State. And what the folks from Travelers do is they have Travelers Day here on campus. I think it's once a year. And some of the leading executives come. And what they do is they tell the students about insurance and what it means and what the job opportunities like that are all about. Maybe they help them a little bit in terms of resume writing. Maybe they help them in job interviewing skills. And at the end of the day, I really hope you guys get a sneak peek at our top draft picks. And Travelers told me that we have 400 CCSU graduates working at Travelers right now, mostly here in the state of Connecticut. And it's those relationships that are so important to CCSU. And one of the things I'd really like to urge the business community in general and anybody you can say is come. Our door's open. We've got the deans, we've got the faculty. We can customize a program for you and make sure those good paying jobs are here. I mentioned Drew Harris, and I mentioned the fact that we create less new business and less job startups than really any state in the country right now. Hartford, dead last. Of the 50 major metropolitan areas in the country, Hartford is dead last. So Drew Harris got me in there. I taught a couple courses in entrepreneurship. I had the good fortune to start up a small telecommunications company myself. And then he said, all right, we're going to get these kids. We're teaching them to dream. We're teaching them what the difference between an idea and an opportunity. And then he said, okay, you put together the business plan. Here's what you've got to do. You've got to raise some money for this business plan. Imagine you get in the elevator and you're there on the ground floor, and who walks in but Warren Buffett? And you've got 90 seconds to make a case of why you ought to invest in your company. So he put this pressure on these kids, and he said, Ned, will you get some of your business buddies and investor guys? So it was like the American Idol of business plans. I was Simon Cowell, we had Randy there, and we heard all the kids give their elevator presentation. And I got to tell you, there's lack a little polish sometimes, but there's some extraordinary opportunities. They will be able to create a small fund of some sort to help these kids get started. That's the type of entrepreneurship that you see on campus with the faculty at CCSU. And as Susan said, I had the great fortune to be mainly involved in arts and sciences. What arts and sciences teaches people so they're able to learn. They teach them the computation skills and reading and mathematics and just being able to stand up and speak for yourself. And it's that sort of broad-based education. I was talking to the folks down at the Fairfield County Business Council. They used to call themselves SACIA. I don't know why they changed their name. And we had hundreds and hundreds of really high-paying financial analyst jobs that were just going begging. Until recently we had UBS, we had RBS. There's a lot of BS out of my part of the state. And these jobs were going begging. And it's just extraordinary. I mean, we don't have a transportation system in this state. We can't get the folks down from New Britain. We can't get the folks down from Meriden. So what does Stanford do to take these $100,000 a year jobs that are going begging, where they're recruiting like heck down in Westchester, down in White Plains, down in Co-op City? Over 25% of the workforce is coming up from that area because we can't bring them down from where we are right now in this part of the state. It's a tragedy what's going on. Look, the state government's going to have to get its own act together. But my message to you is I really believe that Central is so key to what we've got to do. Their door is open, their arm is outreached, and if the business community is there, you'll find that door open and work with us. Look, Cal Coolidge May said the business of America is business, and I don't believe that. I think we're on this earth for a higher purpose than that. But it's a pretty good start, getting a good paying job, here in your hometown, next to your family, and that's what we need here in Connecticut to keep this state growing and prospering the way it's always been. And I'll just leave you with, Silent Cal's other thing. He said you can't do everything immediately, but you got to do some things immediately. And I am here because I really believe to get this country back on the right track, to get the state back on the right track, get us growing again, get us prospering, believing in our future. It really starts with the business community, starts with you, and it starts with CCSU. So thanks for inviting me. I love being here.